Welcome to another edition of Flex Rental Solutions how-to videos. Today we're going to be going over different pricing models that we can create to charge different levels based on the time quantity that they keep gear. The example that we got from this came from a customer up in Canada that said when somebody rents gear for the first day they want to charge full rate. Then for each additional day of that week they want to charge an additional 25% per day, up to 6 days. Then finally, when it went to 7 days, they wanted to charge 3 times a day rate, 2 weeks, 5 times a day rate, 3 weeks, 6.5 times a day rate. So we created for them a specific pricing tier that allowed them to do that. And to get to that, we went to System Settings, Pricing Models, and we created a new pricing tier. We said that this pricing tier only applies towards rental items. It has a tiered pricing calculation, and for now we have everything set to no. We created 5 different pricing tiers for this manually. Let's open up our day 1 pricing tier, where pricing tiers for hourly rates depended upon days or weeks or holidays. We said that this doesn't have anything to do with what day of the week we are renting this out for. It doesn't depend on any start time or effective time or how many of these items they take. We're saying anything up through 6 days or anything with a time quantity from 0 to 6 will match this criteria and will apply towards charging for this item. It's going to be based off a day rate, and it's going to be just 1 times a day rate. But then we went through here on max quantity and just said we're only going to charge 1 of these. No matter how many days they take it for, up to 6 days, there will be a pricing tier of 1 day rate. We created a secondary tier that started after 1 day and went up to 6 days. And this was based off of our day rate and only multiplied each one of these days times 0.25. We subtracted for that first date because we're already charging for the first date at full rate and a max quantity up to 6. So this is where we calculate that secondary tier of 25% for 2 through 6 days. Now, if we go past 6 days, pricing tier 1 and 2 would not apply. This is when the third calculation would take place, and it would start any days after 6, which would mean 7 through 14. We would take the day rate times it by 3, and we'd only have a max quantity of 1 of these. And we took that same logic and applied this towards our second week. Anytime after 14 up to 21, 5 times a day rate, and you would only get charged one of these calculations. So let's take a look at how this calculates out. If I put in a Yamaha M7 into this little calculating tier, I'm going to apply this towards US dollars. And for simplicity, we're going to charge for one of these Yamaha. And if they take it for a time quantity of, say, 1, it will say, well, 1 matches this pricing tier, so this will apply. Quantity 1, time rate 1, $400 a day, that's what they get charged. If on the time quantity, they take that for 2 days, Now you have two pricing tiers that apply to this 2-day rate. one at full rate at $400, one at that 0.25 times a day rate, so $100. So if they keep it for 2 days, they're going to be charged 400 plus 100 equals 500. We'll continue this calculations out. For 3 days, full rate 2 times quarter rate equals $600, and etc. up to 6. They're now being charged $900 with 5 of those days at quarter rate. And if we go up to a week, what happens on that 7th day is neither of these original pricing tiers will apply towards that rate. We have exceeded the limit of the matching criteria, and we have gone on to a week rate calculation. So now we're just taking 7 that matches it, but applying 3 times the day rate and only charging a max quantity of one of those items. So 3 times 400 times 1 equals 1200. So anything through that week, or for that second week, it matches, but it only has a max quantity of 1. And so for that item, you only get 1 charge times a week rate. If we exceed this and say go up to 15 days, that is when we remove the calculation for the 3 previous tiers, and now we're on to our 2-day rate week, or 2-week rate, which is 5 times our day rate. Finally, if we go up to say 24 days, we're only charging them 6.5 times a day rate. So we can see that these calculations are matching and applying correctly. So let's see how this looks in a quote. Under projects, project elements, we have an area under accounting options that we have certain customers who say 99.9% of our jobs are always just quoted out at a one-time, say, a week rate. And so we allow them to fill in a predetermined time. So no matter what we put the availability dates on, it would automatically calculate that out as a one-times and change that to, say, a week rate. But we could say, this day plus, we'll use that as our default pricing model, and we'll leave our default time blank because we want the availability dates to do the calculation for the time field. So now if we hit new quote, and for now we're going to pick, say, 3 days. And we're going to get to work. So when we drop in this Yamaha M7 CL48 channel, it will calculate this pricing tier for us based on those 3 days. And we're going to cancel this. So it calculated the 3 days automatically based on my ship and return date. In the pricing tier, it shows 4 day or day 1 at regular rate, and then we have a different rate from 2.6 or from 2 days to 6 days. That is $100 each of those days for a total of $600. And we can configure the pricing tier to line mute these by default, or we can show them depending on how you want to show this to your end customer. But that is the basis for creating different rates on different items. If you have any specific questions on these new pricing tier calculations, please contact support@flexrentalsolutions.com. Thanks.